Welcome to this edition of Capital Coverage from the Illinois Insurance Association. We're joined today by our Executive Director, Kevin Martin, the Executive Director of the Illinois Insurance Association, and Janet Patrick, who is the Director of the Illinois Insurance Hotline. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for hosting this, Kevin. We're going to talk a little bit today about storm coverage and how you can protect yourself against the unlikely event of a tornado or a severe storm here in the spring. Janet, let's start with you. With the Illinois Insurance Hotline, one of your responsibilities is to help consumers prepare for this sort of thing. What kind of advice do you have for insurance consumers when it comes to preparing for storm damage?
Well, ideally they have homeowners insurance coverage in force, and they have reviewed their policies and have confirmed that they have the accurate amount of coverage on their dwelling location. That's one problem, is that many people are underinsured on their dwelling. They don't have enough coverage to rebuild or replace the damage that occurs. So before the storm occurs, it's a good idea once a year to take an annual policy review, make sure you have enough coverage on your house to rebuild it or replace it if it's totally destroyed. And then make sure you're familiar with what the policy covers and what it does not cover, so that you can address those problems before an incident occurs.
Now, do you recommend that you do this inventory by yourself? Can you do it by yourself along with your agent? What's the best approach to that?
Well, for the dwelling coverage, it's probably best to include the agent, because there will be replacement cost computation calculations that the agent will be able to access and offer guidance on. So each policy has a certain amount of co-insurance that a person has to have coverage for the dwelling, so you want to make sure that you're insured properly. And then once you have that, then you need to move to the interior, the personal belongings that you have in your home, and that's where the inventory really becomes really helpful if you have a storm, because your property is strewn all over the place, and so it's a good idea to have an inventory to help you go back and identify what you are missing, as well as to help you describe each piece.
And one way to do that is to get a visual inventory, correct?
Exactly.
I mean, you can take a videotape or photograph, and then what would you do with that?
Go room by room and identify each piece that you have. Be as specific as you can with the description, the make, the model, where you bought it, when you bought it. If you have receipts, that's helpful as well. And then put that all together in some kind of a document that you can put in a safe location, like a safe deposit box or someplace off premises, so that it doesn't get destroyed.
Very good point. Keep it off premise, because this is also in case there's a fire.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not just for storms. This could be any kind of disaster that would strike your home.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, Kevin, you've got a new law in effect this year. It's called the Storm Chasers Law, and as I understand it, this new law is designed to protect consumers against unscrupulous people. Why don't you fill us in on what that's all about?
January 1st, 2012, there's a new act in the state of Illinois called the Consumer Protection Against Storm Chasers Act. This legislation was the result of insurance companies having heard a lot of severe cases where policyholders were subjected to unscrupulous contractors that would prey on them after a storm. You heard from Janet as to what people need to do in getting ready for the event of a storm. But I think one of the most important pieces is after the storm occurs, when the damage has been calculated as devastating, that policyholders aren't all of a sudden now preyed upon by these contractors who are sweeping in to try and take advantage of consumers and our policyholders. So I think this is a very well-intended piece of legislation that we think will provide protections for the consumers, the policyholders here in Illinois.
And from an insurance industry standpoint, my guess would be that you are probably best trusting your agent or somebody from the company who covers you. Is that correct?
I think that's always the best advice that our association and our industry should provide to policyholders and consumers of Illinois, is that you should always look to your agent. It's a trust factor that most people that will have a relationship, we hope, with their agent, and that agent is going to be able to provide them with sound advice as to what they need to do in the wake of a storm.
And we can tell you from experience that the Illinois Insurance Association and its staff here in Springfield is here to help consumers in their time of need. Janet, why don't you tell our viewers how they can reach you and get answers to their questions?
The hotline is available by contacting us at 1-800-444-3338, Monday through Friday from 9 to 4.
Again, from Springfield, right in the shadow of the Illinois State Capitol, this has been Capital Coverage from the Illinois Insurance Association. Thank you for joining us.